Welcome to this explainer. I am so glad you're here with us today. We're going to explore something beautifully profound, something that honestly affects almost all of us, uncovering the quiet echo of our true selves hidden beneath the incredibly heavy demands of our modern performance culture. So if you've been feeling this subtle, lingering weight in your day-to-day life, I just invite you to take a deep breath, settle in, and know that this time, right now, it is entirely for you. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed just how loud the world demands you to be, and almost in direct response, how quiet you become? I mean, from the exact moment we wake up, there is this unspoken pressure to constantly optimize ourselves. We're checking off tasks, answering demands, making absolutely sure we perform beautifully just to secure our place in the world. But often when the evening finally settles and things get quiet, we're left with this strange, almost hollow sensation. You might realize that, sure, you functioned perfectly for everyone else today, but you feel completely disconnected from your own core. Which brings us to the quiet true self. If you are resonating with that kind of exhaustion right now, please hear me when I say this. It is not a flaw. You see, we spend years, sometimes decades, building these really clever strategies just to belong. We adopt roles, we perfect an identity that flawlessly matches what the outside world expects from us. And in that continuous rush to become someone highly functional, the very first thing we tend to override is our own internal landscape. But here is the beautiful truth. True transformation is a natural process of remembrance, not forced improvement. Your authentic essence, it's completely intact. Your inner voice hasn't vanished or abandoned you. It's honestly just gone quiet. It is patiently waiting for your internal environment to become safe enough, spacious enough, and slow enough to actually speak again. Let's look at the etymology of the mask. It's truly fascinating how history and language actually shape our inner worlds and expectations. Words, they're never truly neutral. For example, historically, the word listen implied a state of deep readiness, an intentional leaning inward to hear. But the word person? That actually comes from persona, which was literally a mask worn in ancient theaters for an actor's voice to sound through. Over time, we have become absolute masters at managing our theatrical masks, making sure they look right and function perfectly for the public. But in doing the whole song and dance, we've kind of forgotten our ancient inherent ability to lean inward and truly listen to the real voice behind that mask. So, dismissing the inner signal. Let's walk through a super relatable, everyday scenario to understand exactly how we systematically ignore our internal cues just to maintain our external performance. Imagine you're sitting in a structured afternoon business meeting. To any outside observer, you are the absolute perfect model of competence. You've got perfect posture, you're nodding attentively at all the right moments, offering clear, constructive feedback. Your external mask is functioning flawlessly. You are nailing it. But beneath that perfect surface, a completely different reality is playing out, right? Suddenly, you experience this distinct tightening right in the center of your chest, followed by a profound, heavy fatigue that just settles deep in your bones. And this isn't just a random distraction. It is the very subtle language of your inner voice, trying to convey an emotional truth to you. But what do we do in a culture that's entirely built on optimization? We initiate the override. We instantly suppress that feeling. Our narrative mind steps right in with strict internal dialogue. You don't have time to be tired. Stay focused. Keep pushing. We take a sip of coffee, fix our posture, and mentally force ourselves right back into the performance, completely overriding the signal. I want you to remember this. You don't need fixing. The exhaustion you carry is not a sign that you are broken or failing. It is simply a sign that you have been performing for way too long. That chest tightness you felt in the meeting, it's not a structural failure of your body. It is an inner landscape that is desperately waiting to be understood with compassion. Now, let's explore the neurobiology of deep presence. Inner listening is not just some abstract, poetic idea. It actually builds on an incredibly grounded scientific foundation and is a tangible, biological reality. Think of it kind of like a seesaw happening in your brain. On one side, we have the default mode network. This is your narrative mind. It's full of high mental noise, constantly evaluating how you should perform to earn your worth. On the exact opposite side, we have the insular cortex, the brain region responsible for our actual bodily presence. The catch is, when one is highly active, it naturally quiets the other. And this brings us to the beautiful concept of interoception. Basically, this is your capacity to perceive, identify, and map out the internal physiological states of your own body, like noticing the rhythm of your breath or a heavy sensation in your stomach. By intentionally doing this, you directly stimulate that insular cortex. And because of that seesaw relationship we just talked about, doing so naturally quiets the anxious mental noise of the default mode network. You literally step out of distraction and directly into embodied presence. So, reclaiming your internal ground. When we actually start prioritizing this internal presence over our constant external performance, something really incredible happens. It organically and profoundly transforms the very structure of our daily lives. When you finally stop fighting your internal reality, you develop emotional clarity, and you do it without judgment. You start viewing your feelings with this warm, compassionate curiosity. You also experience a massive release of physical and psychological tension, simply because you're no longer constantly overriding your own truth. Your decision-making transforms into authentic discernment based on absolute self-honesty. And finally, you reconnect with your own unique rhythm. You realize the immense, quiet wisdom in simply slowing down. Let's talk about creating space to unfold. Because you might be wondering, how do we actually do this? Well, the journey back to yourself doesn't require dramatic, upending life changes. It is simply built on small, gentle, consistent moments of awareness. Here are 3 highly practical, gentle steps you can take. First, an interoceptive check-in. 3 times a day, just pause for 60 seconds. Scan your body, feel your feet planted on the floor, and just observe without trying to fix a single thing. Second is the practice of the gentle question, which we'll dive into in just a second. And third, create a dedicated space of non-doing. Just 5 minutes a day where you completely remove the requirement to optimize your time. You literally just sit. This teaches your nervous system that it is finally safe to drop its defenses. That second step, the gentle question, is profoundly powerful. When you feel a sudden wave of irritation or maybe a frantic rush to be productive, I want you to pause and ask yourself, is this feeling entirely mine, or am I reacting to an external expectation? Asking that creates a really healthy, spacious psychological distance from our automatic reactions and all those inherited patterns we carry around. As you practice these steps, keep this core idea in mind. The process is not about adding something new to your plate or pressuring yourself to achieve some massive, earth-shattering breakthrough. It is simply about remembering, reconnecting with a profound wisdom that has always been there, just waiting patiently beneath the layers of conditioning and distraction. So I want to leave you with this thought. If you finally allowed yourself to step off the stage and truly stop performing, what might you hear in the quiet? I invite you today to take a deep breath. Let the heavy weight of constant optimization just fall away and simply listen to your profound inner landscape. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. Listen closely today and just let it unfold.